Chapter 19. Take this child. The phrase, "take this child," from Exodus 2:9, spoke to Lester's heart as the lighthouse work continued to grow, and the need for a year-round operation of this nature made itself known in many ways. As usual, the radio program afforded the opportunity to continually let the needs of the ministry be known to an ever-growing audience. A friend in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas responded with sufficient funds to enable the enterprises to make a down payment on 327 acres of fertile ranch land. There is no end of what can be done for Christ if Christians will get the vision with us and help bear the burden, Lester said. From this challenge in Exodus 2, there came a mighty deliverer called Moses. It wasn't but a little while until the scripture says, Moses stood up and helped them. After 430 years of starving bondage, millions of God's people walked across the Red Sea, dry-shod, out of Egyptian bondage under the leadership of a man who was rescued when just a child. If alcoholics whose lives were redeemed at the City of Refuge are now preaching the gospel of Christ, what will be the prospects for these precious lads who find Christ and his will if Jesus tarries? We must enter into this opportunity, he pleaded. Get the picture in Exodus 2:23 of the people for whom Moses gave his life. The children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by the reason of the bondage. As prayerfully as I know how, and with emotion in my soul, I am asking God to let the cry of these children come up into your heart. In 1961, the boys' ranch was opened. Quite conveniently, just across the highway from the ranch was an airport. The ranch was only about 25 minutes by air from the lighthouse, and so the work of the two places functioned as God continued to pour out his blessings. A bunkhouse and a new dining room were built at the lighthouse facilities. Newspapers at that time were reporting that the boys at a reformatory were rebelling and escaping and killing guards. Our Faith Enterprise paper was able to print that the boys were responding to consistent and loving discipline. They had come to respect and recognize authority. We learned that it took as long as 9 months to a year before the boys had as much stability as they needed to be ready to go out into the world once again. The helpers and leaders made all the difference in the world, as they, with dedicated love, took these boys, stood by them, and helped them. Lester told supporters, the Bible has a good deal to say about children. We have challenges in the Bible concerning lads, such as, God heard the voice of the lad. Arise, lift up the lad. And God was with the lad. Abraham said, I and the lad will go yonder, which had to do with going to worship God. His life is bound up in the lad's life, was a statement concerning Jacob and one of his boys. The lad knew not anything was a picture of the lad's innocence. Let's look at the enemies of lads today. We are blinder than blind if we cannot and do not see the lads of this hour have more enemies, temptations, and pitfalls than any other lads who ever lived. With messages like that to stir the hearts of concerned Christians, the work to rescue America's lost lads moved on. Lester has said, doubt says don't, because you can't. But faith says do, because God is able. In heaven there will be no lost to lead to Christ. There will be no drunkards to redeem. There will be no broken homes to put back together. There will be no wayward boys to take to the lighthouse. All that we do for others must be done in time, and not in eternity.